certain is
Coming to you live, it's the Forestry and Sawmill Round Table. Welcome back. Let's get started. There it goes. Go! Go, go, go! Go!
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition Forestry Sawmill Round Table. I'm John Davidson, Davidson's All Natural Gym. If this is your first time joining us, we're sawyers, farmers, homesteaders, woodworkers, and anyone who's looking to do some work on any of those properties. Tonight, we're tackling a question that I've heard over and over again. Is a portable sawmill a good investment for a small farm? A lot of you look at a sawmill and everybody just thinks it's another expensive piece of equipment. They wonder if it'll ever pay for himself. And others see it as something that only people selling lumber really need. Excuse me. But what if that was a whole nother story? What if the portable sawmill is actually one of the most useful tools that you can own on a small farm? And that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. We're excited to have Sheraton Park Farms with us tonight. If you watch their channel, you know, they're not afraid to show the real side of farming. He shares his successes and their challenges and their everyday work that goes into building a productive farm. And even some of the failures were shared on a couple of those videos. One thing many people don't realize is that they also own a Wood-Mizer LT40 portable sawmill. They used it as another tool to improve their operation. Tonight, we're going to find out the role that sawmill has played on their farm. And so now we're going to go around the table and we're going to introduce everybody, have everybody introduce themselves, tell us who you are, where you're from, what kind of sawmill you run, and one sentence about your operation. Who you are, where you're from, and what kind of sawmill, in one sentence. That's all you get. Rick, it's up to you.
I'm Rick with Two Brothers Outdoors. I have a Hudson HFE30. I am retired and I sawmill to supplement my retirement income, and it's kind of a hobby and I enjoy it. And we're in the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York.
Tim? Oh, that is not Tim. Let's try to get Tim up here. There's Tim.
I am Tim. I also have a Hudson Hudson Oscar 330 Pro. I am also up in Adirondacks of New York State, and I still am employed. Going to be retired in a year, and I'll be a full-time hobby sawyer.
Andy, you're up.
My name is Andy Smith. I'm with Southern Adirondack Outdoors.
We're in the southern Adirondacks. We're about 20 minutes north of Utica, New York. We have an LT15. We mill basically as a hobby and harvest logs off our own property.
Let's see. Neil and Craig aren't here. So let's try Eric Matthew.
Hey guys, my name's Eric. This is my son, Matthew, and this is the infamous Solomon. He's my grandson, or no, son-in-law. Sorry, but him and Matthew do all the editing for our YouTube channel, Buried Lumber. Now we run a Wood-Mizer LT40. We run a full sawmill business. We saw 5-6 days a week, but we do from log to lumber, so kiln drying, motor planing, tongue and groove, V-groove, nickel gap, whatever. We try to do full service turnkey work for customers, and our sawmill is the business. Okay, there's other aspects that make profit better, but you can't run a sawmill business without a sawmill. So
In North Carolina?
we're in Western North Carolina. Thank you.
Western North Carolina. Let's see. That's supposed to be me right there. I'm supposed to be up next. John Davidson in Northern Illinois, LT35. I run a 160 acre farm. About 20 or 30 of it's wooded. The rest is row crops. And I run a YouTube channel, Davidson's All Natural Gym. And I'm your host for tonight. So let's see what Chuck has to say.
Hey guys, my name's Chuck Lewis. My wife and I own Sheraton Park Farms. We're in northwestern North Carolina, Wilkes County. We do have a LT40. That's part of our operation. It's certainly not the centerpiece of what we do. We're primarily direct-to-consumer beef, pork, and chicken. We sell a lot of protein products to customers at farmers markets, direct off the farm, and in bulk.
And tonight we're just gonna go right back to Chuck with Sheraton Park Farms with our guest tonight, and we're just gonna jump right in with probably not with his background first, but just right with the sawmill first, and see what, because we're all kind of sawyers, I guess. So we'll jump into that one first, and we'll go back to Chuck and see why did you decide on a portable sawmill?
So my family actually has a history of timber work and sawmilling and that kind of thing. One of the earliest memories that I have, I was probably 4 or 5 years old. My dad and my grandpa ran a circle mill, and they called it, and maybe you guys know the difference, but they called it a block mill. And what they done was and this is the, a 50-year-old memory from a 4-year-old. So y'all kind of bear with me here, 4 or 5-year-old. But I remember they were cutting squares, and they were 2 by 2 or 3 by 3, and they were about 16 or 18 inches long. And they would cut a truckload of those things. I think they were primarily oak and pine, but they would cut a truckload of those things, and they would take them up to Abingdon, Virginia, and would sell those to furniture corporations. Thomasville Furniture and different furniture companies would come in and they would buy those. And I think part of what they would do is they would take those and they would turn those into table legs and, chair spindles and that kind of thing. So that's one of my earliest memories. And I had a couple of uncles. I had one uncle. Well, actually, I had 2 uncles that between them, they couldn't put together 10 fingers. They'd cut them off with chainsaws and sawmills, back when all this stuff was just as daggum dangerous as it could be. And so my family had a history, and I'd always wanted a mill. Well, after my wife and I got married, I casually made mention to her one time. I said, I'd like to get a sawmill someday. And she said, oh, you'll kill yourself with that thing. Well, she was thinking, and at the time I was thinking about, the old Frick mills and the old Meadows mills and circle mills and that kind of thing. And then I kind of discovered bandsaw mills and got interested in those. And by this time we'd sort of bought a farm and started a YouTube channel. And I, was looking to add a mill just primarily as a hobby and to be able to, do some things on our farm and with our property and cut some lumber and, just kind of piddle around with it. And I sort of discovered the bandsaw mill. And initially I was looking at a pretty manual mill, one of the, pretty basic Woodland Mills, I think the 122 or whatever it was. And my wife loves me, really she does. But she said, you're not getting any younger. Why don't you save your money a little bit and get something with some hydraulics? And so I saved for another year or two and ended up buying that LT40. So that's how I kind of got into it. I've always had an interest in sawmills and lumber and taking raw material and turning it into something that's a very usable product, something that is useful and just adds value to it. And that really kind of goes along with what we do here with cows and pigs and chickens. We get these animals and we feed them and care for them and work them and turn them into a more usable product. A pack of ground beef is much more usable to folks to eat than a cow standing out here in the field. And so that's sort of the history and how we got interested and how it kind of fits in with our ideology of what we do here in terms of taking something and making it into a more usable, serviceable product for folks.
Yeah, that sure fits right in with everything, doesn't it? So I know you built the we're going to go to the comments here in a minute. Everybody hang on a second. I know you're building a timber frame, right?
Yeah, so
was that one of the first projects, or was that down the road?
Well, it's been kind of down the road. I had sort of played with this mill, and we'd cut 2x4s and 2x6s, and just some dimensional stock to do different little projects and things around the farm. And we've been doing farmers markets every Saturday. Get up at 5:30 in the morning and slug down to the farmers market and sit there for 4 or 5 hours and come back home. We've been doing that now for about 9 years. And we decided that we wanted to build a farm store, or we wanted to put a farm store on the property. Well, we own 70 acres right here in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains. And, I could go down here on Highway 421 and I could buy one of these little old sheds and have that thing, put up here tomorrow, run a little power to it, and I could have a store going in a few days. But we felt like the property itself, the farm itself, really kind of deserves something a little bit more befitting of what the farm actually is. A Blue Ridge Mountain foothill farm. And so we decided that we wanted to build a timber frame store, or to build a timber frame building and use that as a store. Well, a couple of years ago, I went and took a timber framing class from a guy by the name of Jim Rogers. I think he's kind of big in the whole timber framing world. And there was a guy there that was helping him, Dan Flynn. And Dan owns Quarry View Woodworks and the Timber Framing Learning Center of Western North Carolina. He's down around Asheville. And I called Dan up and I said, hey, man, I took this class. I know you're still teaching classes. Do you ever do a project as part of your class? Because here's what I've got in mind. I want to do this 16 by 20 timber frame with a porch. And he said, man, that is perfect. We'd love to do that. So got him lined up to help do some of the joinery. And I got to work cutting the timbers. And so we've cut, about 90% of the timbers here on the farm. Dan's done some big, long 16-foot stuff for me that I just didn't have the logs in stock to do that. But that's been one of the bigger projects that we've done, and that sort of turned into the primary thing that the mill's doing right now is cutting stock and cutting, decking material and bracing and all that kind of stuff for the timber frame building.
And that's pine, oak.
It's really kind of interesting. Yeah, it's really kind of interesting. I was using what I had, and we wanted to do white pine, but I just did not have enough white to do it with. But I had a ton of yellow pine laying around here because I've got some good friends that they do a lot of lot clearing, and sometimes they'll cut stuff and it's take it to the landfill and dump it or push it over in a hole. And so I can get loads of stuff. I give those guys a little money for a haul bill or trade them out. Some ground beef or chicken or whatever just to drop stuff off because they're very, very local to me. They're about 2 miles up the road. And so we started doing yellow pine. And so a lot of it is yellow pine. There's some white pine, and then we've also got some walnut bracing. I had a few pieces of walnut out here. We want to do something that was, a little different, kind of add a little flair to it. So we cut some 4x6 out of some walnut, and we've got some of those knee braces out of that, and it looks really nice.
All right, so let's. I got put a poll up there on the screen. What was that poll say? Anybody got that poll? Why'd you buy a sawmill? Type in chat 1 if you bought it to save your money. Type in chat 2 if you bought it to build farm structures. 3 if you're selling lumber with your mill. 4 if you're self-sufficient. All right, Tim, you got any chat? You got any chats for us? Or not?
No, I got much going on over here at
No
all.
chats? Oh my goodness. Nobody chatting tonight, huh? There's
Oh, we
Chuck.
got
There we go. Oops. Let me see if I can get it to where we can see Chuck's head there. There we go. Chuck? Barry? You know what, Barry? Of course his wife's a smart lady. She married him, right?
Of course she is. I tell her
Mill with
she got
hydraulics.
my wife got the short end of the deal though. I got a much better deal than she did. I married above my level and she married down for sure.
Yeah, going with hydraulics was definitely a smart one.
Yep.
Yep. Oh, nobody here's bottom mill yet. Okay, well, that was a bad poll. Nobody here's bottom mill. Everybody here's here for Chuck. Nobody's here for the sawmill stuff. Right?
I got a
So,
for
I
Joe.
bought mine for all of the above.
Have you noticed a little bit of revenue stream solid for the public?
Yeah, so I've done a few jobs for folks. I had, and actually a lot of it's been folks that I know that have reached out and said, "Hey, could you cut me this or could you do that for me?" We've done some of that. They've always been gracious enough to pay. But I've done a couple of paying jobs. I still work a full-time off-farm job, even though I'm home-based. I've still got a full-time job, and then we've got the farm, 70 acres here, and I really just don't have a lot of time to dedicate to building that business. I think it's probably going to be, Eric and I were talking earlier today, that's probably going to end up being my retirement gig, is doing, working that mill a little bit more and generating some revenue with it.
Cool.
how long have you had it?
So I ordered that mill in February of 22, and it came in August of 23. I kind of ordered it whenever, everybody was buying sawmills and the pandemic was kind of wide open and all that kind of thing. So I ordered it and had to wait a little over a year to get it.
So, any surprises that you didn't expect?
Yeah, so I think the big
Moment?
surprise. Yeah, I think the big surprise. Well, a couple things. Number one, sawmilling is not nearly as daggum easy as it looks on YouTube. It is not. Turn that blade on and walk a line. There's a lot of math. There's a lot of figuring. There's a lot of strategy, and I'm still not very good at. Always learning. So that was one of the big things that I learned. And the second one was. These are machines are complicated and there are issues and there are problems. I've not had any major issues with my mill, but there's always these little things. And so learning to troubleshoot a machine that I have no familiarity with has been a little bit of a learning curve and a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, that would do it, wouldn't it? All right. Anybody else? Same question. Moment you realized you needed a sawmill. Andy, when did you guys buy your sawmill? What'd you realize you wanted one?
We bought in 2019. We were to the point where we had cut so much firewood we couldn't possibly use it all, and we wanted to start doing something more productive with, especially the nice cherry that we were taking down. And we really don't harvest a lot of trees. What we're doing is cleaning up what is dead, damaged, and disease. So that's supplying us with a lot of lumber without even having to take live trees down. So in 2019, we did that. We bought the mill in the fall and didn't set it up until the following spring. That spring, we got hit with a macro burst, and it absolutely wiped out loads of trees in our lots. We have 144 acres. Most of it's wooded. So we had a lot of trees down, and we still haven't milled some of those. So it worked out perfect that we had bought the mill. And we also bought it just ahead of COVID, so we didn't have to deal with the long wait in order to get a mill.
So take the, oh, you deleted the what the hell are we talking about comment?
No, I did not.
That's still
Oh, that's still up there. What the hell are we
The
talking
other one.
about?
The other one.
We're talking about is a sawmill a good investment for a small farm? What can you do with this sawmill? Is it a tool on your farm? Is it just another toy on your farm? Is it another business? Is it an asset to the farm? And we're with Sheraton Park Farms, YouTube, and we're gonna pry out of him what he's using his sawmill for and how it's helped his farm, if it has at all helped his farm. Tim,
well,
when'd you guys?
everybody that's joined us tonight. Some of these comments coming in right here. I don't know. There's a bunch of nutcases. Must be a full moon tonight. I bought my first sawmill back in 1996, 95. It was a commercial circle mill. I bought an old farm, and the farmhouse was falling down. I wanted to build a new house, and I had a lot of timber. That was the easiest way to do it. And of course, that turned into a business inadvertently. Then I sold that business, and when I went to retire, told my wife I wanted to buy another sawmill. She thought I had lost my mind. Sent me down for Alzheimer's testing. And I bought a band mill that we could handle. One man could handle it, not four men. So, and it's been quite an experience. There's a learning curve to band mills compared to circle mills. I'd also like to mention that we live up here in the Adirondacks. There's a lot of farm country just south of us, and there is a lot of farms, old farms, that have bell saws. Bell saw was a circle mill that was built particularly for farmers. It was driven off the PTO of a tractor, and there's still a lot of old bell saws around. So farms and sawmills have gone hand in hand for quite a few years.
Those old bell saws were the predecessor to the Timber King.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Can't hear you, John.
I think the cat's got your tongue.
No, the button's got the mute button's got my mic. That's what happened. A friend of mine actually bought me an LT35. It's been on the farm here, and he primarily bought it to redo his house, get some kiln dried lumber and all that. But he realized he didn't have any logs, so I had the logs, and I've been milling logs for him, and it's just turned into a business for me. But on this 160 acre farm, there's a lot of things that, that I wouldn't have, if I didn't have that sawmill. I mean, I wouldn't have a wooden cattle corral or a sawmill shed or a barn or a, cattle hut. There was at least not one that was made out of wood. I probably just would have bought a tin hut or something. So it's really helped the farm around here. And I think Eric and Matthew, I think we know why you bought one, but we may not know the whole story about why you bought one.
Because Eric lost his mind.
About 2014, all my kids had grown up and moved out. Matthew's the last one. He joined the Army and left the country. And I needed a hobby, and
he had disposable income finally.
yeah, had disposable income. Dad had hired a guy to mow the mill for him a few years earlier, and I helped him that day. And I said, you know what, that's something I really enjoyed. And my grandfather, as well as my uncle, just right over the hill here, had a circle mill in my younger years. So kind of in the blood. I needed a part-time hobby to keep me out of trouble. Matthew come back from overseas, and we mobile milled 2 or 3 times a month for 8 or 9 years, and it's just a hobby that got out of hand. And that's the way most people start, and that's the way I recommend everybody to start. If you don't have a sawmill business, don't go spend $100,000 buying you a sawmill and think you're going to run a business. Go buy you a mobile mill and start mobile milling in your area, as well as stationary milling at home, and grow into a business.
Right. So, Chuck, I guess we're going to go back to you right now. Tell me, here's one. I'd just like to know this personally. Did you figure out what it would cost you to build a timber frame? You know what I mean? Versus sawing your own, or was that ever a thought?
No, it was never a thought. I had this mill out here, and if I had tried to price that out and buy the materials and do it, I would have been shamed to death by my friends and family. So it was a pride thing more than a financial decision, So, but no, and I'll be honest with you, a lot of building the timber frame and doing that is I've just got this want to build something myself. And not just, we live in such a disposable time now. I mean, everything is buy and throw away. I mean, even your daggone phone, there's planned obsolescence. There's just not a lot of things that are built or done anymore for sustainability that is intended to outlive us and to be there for future generations. And so for me, there was a big desire to actually create and build something, and that timber frame seemed like at the time, it seemed like a reasonable project. Now I'm wondering what the hell I was thinking, but here we are, and we're too far down the road to turn around now. So this is kind of the way it is,
You're in too deep now, brother.
Yeah, I'm in too deep now,
Yep. Turns into one of them projects where you don't count up receipts, you just start putting them in a pile.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I get people all the time ask me what it costs for our kiln builder we build over here, and I tell them I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
About halfway through, I figured if I kept counting, I would never finish. So I just threw the receipts down and kept building.
Yeah. Honestly, so far on this timber frame, my biggest expense has been to Dan, who helped with cutting some of the joinery. We did do it as a class, but then there was no way the class could ever finish all the joinery, so I did have to hire Dan to finish help me with some of the finishing the joinery, and then he came up and help us raise. So yeah, that's been my biggest expense on it so far, was hiring somebody to help with the joinery.
Okay.
So you got it raised already?
Yeah. I've got a frame. Yeah, we've got a frame. Man. Frames
okay,
up,
frame.
Trusses are up. Yep, frames up, okay. Trusses are up. Porch is up. Porch rafters are up. We're cutting. Well, I've finished now. I've got all the decking for the roof. So we done it out of southern yellow pine, and so it'll be decked with yellow pine that you'll be able to look up from the inside of the building and see.
Okay. I must have missed that video. I didn't know it was already up.
Yeah, we stood it up. It's not been that long ago. I mean, It's been about a month and a half, 2 months. We got it standing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're frame up. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that one when you figured out you needed another piece of equipment.
Oh yeah, man, that was a whole thing. So the trusses, so I messed up, I decided I wanted to do a 12-12 pitch. Not a good decision, but anyway, 12-12 pitch out of 4x6s with a fork and tongue joint. So when we got ready to stand that thing, we got the building stood up, so we were getting ready to set the trusses, and a 4x6, 12x12 with 11, almost 12-foot legs on it. It's heavy, it's awkward, and there's just no good way to raise it, 12 feet off the ground. And so we tried the tractor, we tried the excavator, we could not get the trusses up. So my brother works for a construction company, and they just happened to have a telehandler, and he was able to cabbage onto that on a Friday afternoon, and we got the trusses up there with that. So that was a whole, cops and robbers kind of thing. It was a mess.
Yeah.
So let's go into the farm, the organic, the cattle, the hogs, the chickens. Anything anything with those that you've built that you wouldn't own right now? Have you built anything with those? A chicken? I don't remember seeing a chicken coop being built or anything.
Yeah, so most of our animals are managed with small, lightweight, portable livestock or portable infrastructure. So I did build. It was before I got the mill. We did build a mobile egg house. We call it the Egg Mobile, and we moved that around the farm with the chickens. And then I bought it's an aluminum chicken tractor. We bought it just because of a weight issue. It's a 9 by 24 foot chicken tractor that we use to move the animals with. So I've not really built anything as far as infrastructure for the animals goes.
How many? You can go into the farm. How many chickens? How many cows?
Yeah.
Many,
So
is it all sold at the farmer's market?
Yep, everything. Well, it's either sold at the farmer's market or right here on farm. We have a lot of customers that buy bulk, so they'll buy a whole cow or half cow, and they'll come up here to the farm and pick that up. But the majority of everything is sold at the farmer's market. We do have some retail customers that'll come up here and will buy, some beef, pork, and chicken. They'll come about once a month and spend a couple $100 with us, and we like those because now I don't have to move that stuff up and down the road. Every time you touch a product, it costs you money. But especially in the meat world, you start moving this stuff up and down the road at the farmer's market. Well, you got diesel fuel, you've got, booth rent cost, you've got time off the farm. I mean, there's just a lot of hidden cost in that. So what we're trying to do is shift folks to coming up here and buying. But yeah, all that's sold either here at the farmer's market. I've got 14 head of cattle right now. We do primarily a finishing operation. We buy 7 and 8 weight steers, bring them in, finish them on grass, take them to the processor and get them processed. Chickens, I get 50 new meat chickens every 3 weeks. We process 50 broilers every 3 weeks. And then we'll do 3 or 4 pigs a month, process 3 or 4 pigs a month. And all that stuff gets packaged up and sold to customers. And we market to folks that are looking for locally grown, know your food, know your farmer, no hormones, no antibiotics, naturally raised. We don't carry the organic label because there's a lot of things in the organic world that we don't necessarily agree with. So when I have customers that come up and they say, "Hey, are you guys organic?" And I always say, "Well, tell me what that means to you." And folks will describe, well, the chickens were out on grass and they had a good life and they didn't get any antibiotics. And then I say, okay, well, let me tell you how we raise our animals, and you tell me if that lines up with your value system. 95% of the time it does, and we make the sale. So even though we don't carry the organic label, we follow a lot of organic principles and no antibiotics, hormones, chemical wormers, chemical pesticides. We don't use any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's in North Carolina. I don't know how strict the rules are in North Carolina, but in Illinois, it's, I can't get my pasture certified organic because the guy across the street is doing row crops and I'm doing row crops. You know what I mean? And you can't certify a pasture organic if they're spraying chemicals across the street.
Sure. Yeah.
But man, am I feeding my cows hormones? Am I feeding them in a feedlot? No. Are my chickens eating, the store-bought stuff or getting the hormones or getting the antibiotics? No, they're running around on the farm. So it is a different, trying to sell that under organic would be a hard sell for me.
Yeah. And what we found is a lot of folks they just want to know, you go to the grocery store and there's so much behind the curtain stuff that you don't know where that animal came from, how it was raised, what it was fed, none of that kind of stuff. But if you're buying a steak from a guy that lives 15 minutes down the road, man, you can walk down there and you can look at those cows and see how they're treated and how they're raised. And I think that's what folks are really looking for, is more transparency as much as anything. And now the nice thing about meat is it does not cause parasitic diarrhea. So we've got that going for us.
Well, you're talking about store-bought meat. You don't even know if it's real meat or not.
No, you really don't. I mean, the USDA allows a certain percentage of what they call red slime in ground beef, and they don't even know what the hell that stuff is. I mean, it's it's just goo. Who knows?
Well, tell me this, Chuck. If somebody wants to kind of go along the way you're doing sustainable farming, what's your number one resource you can tell them to start with? You know, whether it be a state agency or a local ag office, to be able to get to the USDA part where you can legally sell a finished crop.
Yeah, the thing I tell folks is reach out to your local, every county has one. Reach out to your local agriculture extension agent. If you're looking for information on requirements in terms of what you can sell and how you can sell it and licensing and all that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for, you know, the rules on how you do things, your local ag extension agent is the person to reach out to. If you're wanting to learn how to do this, man, YouTube is about as good a educational platform as anything. Guys like Joel Salatin, Russ Wilson. But yeah, I mean, you know, we've done some, you know, that's been a big part of our business for years is on farm education. We've had folks come up here to do pig classes and chicken classes and all that kind of thing. So there's a lot of information out there on how to do it. But yeah, if you want to sell, you've got, you know,
They can sign up for that at Sheraton Park Farms, right?
yeah, they can go to Sheraton Park. Yeah. Just check us out follow us on all of our socials. We post, you know, things that we're doing and events that we're having and that kind of thing from time to time.
There's a question for you there, Chuck, on the screen.
How much demand have you had cutting for fellow farmers in your local or extended area? Seems like this could be a decent market. Do you advertise? Your milling?
So I did advertise for a little while, and I had more than I could do and keep up with everything else that I was doing. So we don't do much advertising anymore, but we do some word of mouth stuff. And quite frankly, the majority of what I've done has been for other farmers. I just got done cutting a package, I don't know, about 6 weeks ago for a guy that was building a hay shed. So we done that. I done some siding for a guy that was repairing a building over, you know, one county over. It was a, you know, little farm storage building that he was doing. So primarily that's what we've done because, you know, those are the folks that we know. Those are the folks that we hang out with, that we see at markets, that we see at meetings and that kind of thing. They know that we've got a mill. And so that's primarily what I've done has been for other farmers. We've not done a lot of stuff for the general public, somebody looking for, you know, something. It's been specific projects that folks have needed things for. And again, it's just, for me, it's a time factor, just having the time to do it with everything else that's going on. So
the one that a neighbor of mine is doing is he's pushing the I shouldn't say pushing, but he's doing this cow's mom, this cow's dad hasn't left this whatever 30-mile radius.
Yeah.
You know, because of the diseases and the screwworm and not the screwworm, but you know what I'm saying, that type of thing.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the same with the chickens. Is that something that you're, you know what I mean, seeing, or you're pushing, or?
No, not so. On the poultry, yes. On the chickens, yes, because we get our meat chickens as day-old fluff balls. So they arrive in a box and they're here for their entire lives. Our pork, we've done a lot of that in the past. We've bred our sows and, you know, had kind of a closed herd that we were raising our pork. On the cattle, that's really tough for me to do. I sat down and figured it up one time. For me to meet the demand that I have on beef, I would have to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 mama cows that were split up into two groups that was having a set of cows every year. So two groups of 35, just to meet the demand that I have now. And that's with no growth. Because, you know, you carry for 9 months, and then once that thing hits the ground, you're 2 years before it goes to processing anyway. So I'd have to have 70 mama cows. I'd have to have somewhere in the neighborhood of around, I think it was 170 or 180 cows on the ground altogether here. I've only got 35 acres of pasture land. So for me to meet demand, I have to buy 7 and 8 weights, bring them on and finish them. And I also have to buy some finished cows from other farms. But we do partner with other farms that raise animals the same way that we do. No hormones, antibiotics, rotationally grazed, all the things that go into that. So the beef is a little bit tougher than the pork or the chicken is. But yeah, we do try to use that as an advertisement that, you know, we know where this animal came from. We know its entire history, how it was raised, stem to stern, finished, all the way through finishing.
That's a great way to do it. My beef for next year is in a pasture about 2 miles from here at my cousin's house.
Yeah.
And I can walk by and look at it or pet it anytime I want to.
Yeah.
Right.
I bought a set of steers. I bought them young, but I bought a set of steers last spring. Not in spring of 25. And as soon as I brought those on the farm, I had one lady that sent me a message and said, I want number 7. It had an ear tag in it with number 7. She said, I want number 7 in my freezer. And I'm like, if you don't mind waiting 18 months, no problem. She said, I'll do it. I want that one in my freezer.
Wow.
I don't know why she liked number 7, but old number 7 is marked down for Katie Bell. She's going to get him. So we'll send him to the processor.
That's great.
Must have looked delicious.
Yeah.
Funny.
Well, we've got to get back in America to producing a better product. And the big manufacturers need to go back to what he's doing, producing a sustainable product that has a history and not a pack of ground beef at the local grocery store that's got 50 distinct DNA traits in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was just my opinion too, this is just my opinion too, but I think it's the customer too. If the customer demands it, that's where we'll go. That's where we'll take the market. You know what I mean? If the customer doesn't want the package of hamburger with 50 DNA different cows in it, then they'll come to Chuck here and buy his cows, and that's where the market will go. And there'll be 100,000 more Chucks, and there'll be a lot less, you know what I mean? Big time cattle processors.
Have their own meat either.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think us local farmers, I think we don't do a good enough job of offering ourselves up as an alternative. I've had folks that have come up to me and at farmers markets and say, "What are you selling?" And we're beef, pork, and chicken. And they said, "Well, where do you get it? Where do you get that from?" Well, I grow it. What do you mean you grow it? And start explaining to them, and they're like, "Well, I didn't know that you could grow something on your farm and then sell it to somebody."
Right.
I mean, and so folks have just become so disconnected from where their food comes from and how to access it. And I think we as local farmers have got to do a better job of getting our message out there and offering ourselves up as an alternative.
Yes.
Yeah. I watched the one where lady didn't know how to cook hamburger.
Yeah.
And
let me tell you another one. This will blow your mind. I get this from folks that are 30 years old and younger. Do y'all have any boneless chicken? Do y'all have any boneless, skinless breasts? No, ma'am. Everything we have has bones in it and skins on it. I can't eat anything that's got a bone in it. I mean, it's like, gosh almighty, it's just unbelievable. So anyway, yeah.
Stop looking at me.
I know what John's thinking already.
Oh man, no, I'm not. It's sad.
Bull.
It is sad.
Yeah, guys. I didn't say a word.
They don't even know where it comes from. They have no idea.
Yeah.
You know, I get it with the eggs. The eggs is my favorite one. Oh well.
They look at it, folks providing for themselves. Whether they're fishing, hunting, or raising cattle, raising chickens. But that's where a country comes from.
Yeah.
Basic self-preservation, being able to take care of yourself. If the world goes to crap tomorrow, the last one's going hungry is Chuck Sunder. They're gardening, they're farming, they're producing a stable product that they can either consume or sell. We need more of them.
I think we'll be all right till we run out of neighbors.
He still got, hey, all you got to do is go north, just go to Canada.
All right, so a sawmill. Back to a sawmill. Sawmill, is it a good tool on a farm? Good tool to have on a farm?
Yeah, I think it is, especially if you've got a decent sized woodlot as part of your property. I think that's something else that folks kind of neglect to do is care for their forest. And I think a sawmill is a good way. If if you've got a farm and you've got a big wood lot, that's a way to, cut out some older diseased, dying trees and turn that stuff into a usable product. And, y'all know, you start clearing some of that old stuff out, it really provides a better environment for the healthy trees to grow. And so, yeah, I think it's a good tool to have. I think there's a lot more that I could do with mine that I don't. But I think if you've got a decent sized farm, yeah, I think it's a great tool to have. And like y'all were talking earlier, farms and sawmills used to go hand in hand. I mean, just about every, if not every farm, every other farm in an area had a sawmill, and they were cutting what they needed for barns and buildings and neighbors and houses and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's a valuable tool to have.
Any chats? Any chats, Tim?
Only if you want to talk about a schnitzel.
Or the rooted, or some rude ones, huh? Been deleting the rude
Yeah.
ones.
Cutlet.
What is a schnitzel?
Trying to stay on top of it.
What's
Schnitzel.
a fried schnitzel? I don't
German.
know.
German
Cutlet.
sausage, isn't it?
That's really good, but also really, really bad for you.
You can probably hear me now. We finally got a microphone. Sorry, no.
All right. Anybody else?
I say
Anybody
this
else?
Doug's farm, he's got a lot of buildings that were already built. But if you were starting a new farm and didn't have those buildings, you'd be cutting and building a lot of barns, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that was one thing. Whenever we bought our property, we had a lot of infrastructure that was already here. I had a big shop building, a big hay barn. There were some older barns on the property, a cattle shed. So I mean, we were really kind of in pretty good shape as far as infrastructure goes. But yeah, if you were buying a new farm, a raw piece of ground, sawmill would probably be one of the first things that I would buy in terms of equipment, is to so that you could get you some barns and buildings and sheds and needed infrastructure up.
Yeah, 'cause we all run a sawmill, and we know if we want to build something, your first cost is the ground, and then the next cost is the material, and then your roof. Well, we take that middle section, the material, and we just collapse it down to zero because we're all cutting our own.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference when you're planning the cost of a building, that you can wipe that wood material cost out.
Yeah.
And you're left with whatever you're doing on the ground, whether it's post or concrete, and a ceiling.
Yeah.
John, you want to read that question?
I mistakenly bought a Mechmax 26 sawmill, and it's a piece of shit. And I want to upgrade it to a larger, better saw. Can't take the step. I'm guessing can't take the step up to a Wood-Mizer yet. Any suggestions? Rick and Tim.
Marketplace.
Yeah, marketplace.
They're everywhere on Marketplace.
Yeah.
Just depends on-
Well, the suggestions we would make would be either Wood-Mizer, Hudson, or Timber King.
Anything that you can get support from.
There are less expensive mills out there, but like you said, with the Mechmax, you learned you just need to do research on what you can afford or what you think you can afford, and go from there, because the three I just mentioned are all American built sawmills, and they all have good welded frames and things. So just do your research. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, sawmill is a violent machine. I don't care what brand you buy, you're going to break it. You're going to wear it out. You're going to need technical expertise. You're going to need parts, service, and learn how to work on it. And buying something from the other side of the world that you can't get none of that, it's going to lead you to problems eventually. I think you ought to get an American-made product and buy it. Buy what you can afford. Buy the best you can afford and go to work with it.
So
Yeah,
so Facebook
Cooks
Marketplace.
Cooks is another American built mill,
Cook,
as is that Timber Buddy that somebody mentioned earlier. That's an American built mill as well.
Yeah, the Cooks are really nice mills, but if you're complaining about the price of a Wood-Mizer, or not ready for the price of a Wood-Mizer, you're probably not ready for the price of a Cook.
Yeah, or a maker.
I was going to say Baker.
Baker's
So
a
suggestion-
commercial mill. That's really expensive.
So one of the suggestions is to promote your Mecmex is a great sawmill and sell it on Facebook Marketplace to Eric and Matthew, or somebody like Eric and Matthew.
That could
And
be your
then-
resaw
and then-
mill there, Eric.
And then buy an entry level, sawmill from one of those
Absolutely.
brands that we just mentioned, and it's work, but it's entry
Well,
level.
just do your
and it's
research. It's
less money.
It's all
Yep.
out there. It's all out there on
Go
the
from there.
internet. Talk to
I
fellow
know-
Sawyers on YouTube.
You can take any of these entry-level American-made sawmills and cut beautiful lumber. LT15s,
Yes.
20, 25s. I don't know the numbers for the Timber Kings and the other ones, but they'll all cut beautiful lumber. You're just, you may have to roll the log. You may have to do the manual up and down, and you may have to push it, but they'll all cut beautiful logs. And
Correct.
Learn your craft.
We
You like it, sell what you got, buy something bigger. I don't
Well,
know
Tim
anybody, the first mill they bought other than Chuck, it won't be long, he'll be upgraded again.
Tim and I both bought Hudson's. Tim bought an entry level mill, and he soon moved up to the Oscar Pro. But our mills, especially my mill, has been through hell. I've beat that mill to death for the last 7 or 8 years. Still holding up and still sawing well. And you can get into a 30-inch or a 36-inch Hudson mill for around 10 grand. And you can add the upgrades as you go along down the road.
Correct.
Just being willing to learn how to work on it, learn to use it.
And I tell people, if you've only got one project that you're intended on doing, find you a local sawyer and have a saw your wood.
Right.
I hate to see a sawmill on Facebook Marketplace that's 10 years old and it's got 50 hours on it. Why did you buy it? You bought something you didn't need. So if you just got one project, let somebody like one of these guys saw your wood, make you a beautiful product, and go do your project. And it's not for
Yep.
everybody.
Well,
That was my
Eric,
one. Go ahead, Rick.
if I ever decide to sell my mill, it's only going to have 50 hours on it.
Okay. You're gonna buy a new tack?
But that was my one thing, for not buying the sawmill, as a small farm, was that if you're just going to do it for one project, you don't love the wood, you're not going to continue it, you're not going to sell wood later, you're not going to build more and more buildings, then just have somebody else build your, sawmill, your whatever fence or your board and bat barn, or, and then move on. There's so many sawyers out there now, that small sawyers that are doing it for so cheap, you know what I mean, that if it's one project, just have somebody else do it who already knows how to do it.
Right.
And I've got a lot of buddies around here that have sawmills, and they will absolutely not saw for fun. They bought it for their own personal fun, their own personal use. They had enough money, they bought it, they paid for it. It's kind of like a Corvette, it sits over in the corner, and they rub it, and occasionally they pull it out and use it. That's fine. But, to buy one of these and make a business out of it, it's a lot of effort. And if you don't have time for it, it's probably not a good fit. If you don't like people, and you don't like anybody calling you, you don't like anybody emailing you don't like anybody coming on your property, don't buy something.
Well, here again too, Eric, a lot of people that don't use these sawmills that they bought, they won't sell them. They will not sell them.
Well, if I had a 56 Corvette, I wouldn't sell it either, but I don't know one. I understand why some people have them for a hobby. But it's a mighty expensive tool to have laying around for a hobby.
Well, it's funny, when COVID came around, you couldn't find a sawmill anywhere, and everybody was getting into it because, everybody was having all this extra cash, and everybody's buying it because, I'm going to make lumber for everybody. I'm going to get rich. You know what I'm talking about. And then all of a sudden, the market got flooded, and the sales weren't there, and then guess what?
Yep. And we've evolved in our business over the last 4 or 5 years. We kind of use the Little Caesars montage, hot and ready. And that's what people want. They want their wood hot and ready. They'll call you up if you got this. And if you do, they're hot and ready. And we have to educate people about what we carry, in our hot and ready pile versus what you're going to have to plan ahead and produce as needed. It's going to take a few months.
Well, there you go. Back home with us, my hubby bought a sawmill 4 years ago. Had 0 hours on it.
Where's that other guy for a mill? Right there's he was.
That's right. Country thinking. Country thinking. He's looking for a mill with 0 hours on it. I'm just saying.
He might be one of those ones that don't want to sell it.
Right. Just saying.
Oh, Lord.
The modern band mill is a wonderful thing. It allows people like me to get in the sawmill business, in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, not counting any kind of equipment, not counting the building. And if you go try to buy a circle mill and the setup you got to have to run one of them, you're $1 million, and you hope you can cut a piece of wood with it when you get done. So it's a great modern invention. I appreciate Wood-Mizer and these other companies that have invented this years ago and kept producing better and better products to allow small business owners like us to get into the sawmilling business, to compete, not competing with them, but compete in the local market.
I love wood, bought a used manual, no hydraulics, LT35, 8 hours, a lot of problems, and it's set for 10 years. Yep.
10K, you did good.
10 years will get you a lot of problems, though.
Yep. That's when you break out that manual and go through every piece.
Uh-oh.
Yep. No sale. Back home with us isn't selling.
No sale.
We tried.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
But I feel like that I kind of do it's not really the organic market as it is with the meat and the chickens and and all of that. But some of these people, like, I'm doing one now for the bar down the road, and all the lumber for this project down there and it's rough because I don't like doing storm damage stuff, but it's all storm damaged trees from the storm that went down into town, and the bar's building a project out of them. So it's kind of along the lines of keep your cattle local, keep your lumber local. You know what I mean? It's kind of a project like that too. It just, I don't know. It just kind of goes along with the organic thing.
I got a question for you, Chuck. What's the laws in North Carolina about some transplant moving into Wilkes County and complaining about you farming and your chickens making noise and your cows smelling like, cows smell? What's the laws in the state of North Carolina to combat that, to help you?
So I don't know that there are any. We're pretty lucky back here. I'm about a half mile off the main road, and my closest neighbor's a quarter mile out the road, and I can't even see them from here. But I don't know. That's probably most of that kind of thing would probably be local ordinance type stuff. I don't know if there's any state laws on the books there's no state laws on the books I'm aware of.
Well, these little county fiefdoms can set up all their own stupid rules.
Yeah.
Even in the county I live in, one of the districts that abuts mine, they made it a no personal business district because they put a big old stupid horse farm out there. They could run a business, but I couldn't run my sawmill business in their district.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
That's crazy. Well, y'all down there, y'all got a lot of folks down there seem like they're on one end of the spectrum or the other. They either don't have much or they've got more than they know what to do with. Because there's a lot of big horse farms down there and big money horses down there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, big money.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's one of the few places where it costs more money if you want to buy more than 5 acres than it does when you want to buy 1 acre.
What about that's completely upside down.
Yeah. I don't know. We're killing the rural country side across America with too many rules and regulations. And the people are fleeing the great unwashed areas, and they come down here and they want to make it like where they left.
Yeah.
If you like where you moved, why you want to change it?
Yeah.
You know, you cross North Carolina like I do, the triangle area is gone. There's no more farming in the triangle area.
No.
A young man's not gonna buy 100 acres to be able to farm on it. They'll put 500 houses on it or condos.
Yeah. We're still pretty good in the area that I'm in. You know, there's not been a whole lot of migration into here. But now the counties that adjoin us, Watauga County, which is Boone, Appalachian State University, Ashe County, West Jefferson, and even now Allegheny County up in Sparta, a whole lot of folks have moved in, and housing prices have gone through the roof, land prices have gone through the roof, and it's made it really difficult for local folks to buy local and stay. You know, young kids just, it's hard for those folks that are getting started.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what the cure is.
All right. So where are we at? We are about done with the scripted version.
Yeah,
Done with the scripted version.
keep up the hard work, brother. You'll get there. I tell people all the time, to be successful in your business, you got to be consistent. You're hustling every day. You're answering your phone calls. You're answering your emails. You got stuff for sale on Marketplace. You're checking your phone at 30 minutes, an hour, every day, all day, and you're returning those messages. And you will be successful. People that are spending money are looking for somebody that they could depend on to be on time, on budget, and on quality. I spent 35 years in customer service, and I said for years, if somebody would just show up and be dependable, they could be self-employed, and we're proof of that.
Never be afraid to go above and beyond.
Exactly. Always take care of your customers.
You're not just selling your product, you're selling yourself.
Exactly. I'm not doing anything that any other guy with a sawmill can't do. I'm selling me and Matthew and our quality and our service and our standing behind what we're doing. And that's what you'll do as running your business. If you're a fly-by-night selling it as cheap as you can, you won't last. If you're selling a quality product that you'll stand behind, and if somebody buys 100 boards, you let them leave with 105 because you want to make sure if one of them's bad, they can replace it and they don't call you and complain about it, you'll do all right.
Well, you treat people right, take care of them, and they'll be back. They always are. It just takes that one person, though, and then, 100 people, he'll badmouth you too, but what can you do about that?
Always trust your gut or trust your dog. Okay? If your dog don't like a customer and your gut don't like a customer, just tell them no, I don't think we're going to be able to do business together.
Exactly. I just sent him over to Rick's.
that would be nice.
This Hudson don't work for that, but you go to Rick.
There's one right over there. There's a mill right over there.
Right next door.
Yep.
Yeah, he sends them over to me, and then I call him 2 hours later. Hey, I got this big order we got to do.
And I told him, no, I turned that down.
No, you never say I turned that down.
You're never going to like every customer you have, and every customer you have is not always going to like you. But if y'all can work together, do good business together, then that's fine. But if you can't, just say, look, I've turned down some work just because I knew me and that person was not going to get along. They had expectations their pocketbook couldn't meet, or they had expectations there's no way a sawmill was going to meet. And say, no, not interested.
Yeah, I put my hamburger in the pan, and it just laid there and burnt because there was no fat on it, like the ones in the store, and I'm not happy with your product. And you're like, yeah, that's about right, bud. I don't know how to tell you.
It's a good comment from Rick. It never ends, buddy. I'm thinking 5-10 years out in the future right now, mentally, of things I need to add, replace, work on. And the same way with Chuck and his farm. I guarantee you, he's sitting there at his desk or in the middle of the night thinking about things that's wearing out that he knows he's got to plan on replacing, things he wants to add, things he wants to implement, his SOGs, his SOPs. It never ends being self-employed. And if it does, you're doing it wrong.
Mhm.
And you don't need to have all the equipment to start with. We sold air
No.
dry mobile mills for almost a decade before we got all the extra stuff.
You gotta walk before you can run.
Yeah, I was just telling somebody about the one I watched with Chuck on his freezer. You know, once you made that freezer investment, you know, and you went through the numbers on it, you know, and realized how good that was. You didn't have to dig through chest freezers.
Yeah, man. We started out with 2 or 3 just freezers that we had found on Facebook Marketplace, and back then Craigslist was still a thing. I don't even know if that's still a thing or not. But we had just these freezers that we cobbled together. People were taking to the dump, and we after we got up to about 9 or so, we decided to make an investment in our farm and put in this walk-in freezer. And I ended up spending, I forget what it was, concrete freezer, the whole deal, about $15,000. But what we saw when that happened was now we can store more product, we can have more offerings and that kind of thing. So our business went up to commensurate it. But I could not have on day one, before I even bought my first chicken, justified buying a walk-in freezer. So you use what you got, you kind of max out on that, and then what's the next best thing that I can spend money on that's going to push my business forward? And then you invest in that and run that till you kind of meet the end of that, and then do, wash, rinse, and repeat. Find out where that choke point is in your business and solve that choke point. And then where's the next choke point? And you solve that one, and that's how you grow, or that's how we've done it on the farm anyway.
Now, a quick question on the farm, since you're gonna have that beautiful farm store, and Sandra, I know you don't do it, Sandra does, she grows a beautiful garden.
She does all the work.
Are you gonna offer some produce as well?
If I have extra, we'll sell a little bit, but I'm not going to do any market gardening or anything like that. I just don't have the space for it. I really don't. I enjoy it, but I don't have my attention span is not long enough to do that.
Yeah. Fresh tomatoes and squash go good with that ribeye steak.
It sure would. And we've got some farms around here that we can partner with to do some of that. So that's one of the things. I heard a wise businessman say one time, if you control the customer, you control the sale. And so what he meant by that is you may not produce everything that you sell, but if you have a wide offering and you can get the customer to come to you to buy your ground beef and your chicken and somebody else's tomatoes, somebody else's green beans, somebody else's apple cider, somebody else's homemade candles or whatever, now you're controlling that customer because you're the one that's got the sale. So I'm not necessarily interested in producing everything that I want to sell, but I want to capture as much of that customer's dollar as I can.
But you'll sell
like a co-op.
to buy.
Yeah.
Because I know you're doing a beef jerky product now.
Yep, we do beef jerky. Yep, and that comes from my beef. I get another guy down in Hickory, North Carolina. He does that for us, and that's another product that we can sell.
Now, are you able to mail order that, or is that pickup only?
Yeah, I can. So I can ship stuff that is shelf stable. I can, but it's just so cost prohibitive to ship frozen stuff. By the time you buy those insulated boxes and you buy the dry ice, and then you do overnight or next day air. I mean, man, it just gets and I know my stuff's expensive. It just is. But by the time you buy that and then I'll pay for all the shipping stuff, it just becomes very cost prohibitive.
But you would do it if they was willing to pay for it.
I'd do it if they was willing to pay, yeah. And for folks that are living in Manhattan, that there's not a farm down the road, it might make sense.
Yep. Well, it's future business opportunity for you there. I mean, but you will ship the beef jerky if they will buy it.
Yep, we ship beef jerky, tallow, lard, hats, that kind of stuff, shelf stable stuff.
I'd like to address this next question, John.
Go ahead. It's really cool that you guys have these gatherings. I've learned a lot from you guys on YouTube. But I got to admit, I wonder how you do it. It's expensive. Go ahead, Rick.
It's one step at a time. We bought our mill. We sold rough cut green lumber, no problem. People will buy it. We got into a market where we sell crafters wood. We also match. We have a lot of old houses and barns around here that we can match the actual dimensions of the lumber they have when they need to make repairs to the house. But it's one step at a time. You buy the mill, you pay for the mill, and then you buy your next piece of equipment and then you pay for that. And just like Chuck said, you look into the future, what your next piece should be, and that's how you go. Don't try to do it all at once unless you're going to borrow a bunch of money and go into business head on. And then you're taking a big chance of going belly up.
You could run a small sawmill business and work a full-time job as long as you're working a 40-hour week job. Now, you're going to work a lot of long hours, a lot of late nights, but you can do it. Now, if you're working a 60-hour week job, you're right to quit that job and get something, a little smaller. But I did it for 10 years, working 40, 50 hours a week, and there were a lot of long days, late nights. You got to be dedicated to it. There's no way that I could have bought a mill in 2014 and supported my family. We weren't doing that kind of business. It took, I did some advertising early on, but since then, I do no advertising other than YouTube and Facebook Marketplace. It just takes time to grow into it. And that's a good thing for most small business owners, because I was personally not ready to run this size business. It takes a while to grow into it. While we got this second here, I want to introduce Solomon. He does half our YouTube videos, but he runs his own channel, 11 Charlie Scale Modeling. You guys would take the time to check him out. He also runs 525 Design. He does 3D printing. Do consultation. He's looking at doing some editing for other channels. This is how you become self-employed. You pick a lane and try to work your way in it, and you may have to have a wide path, and then over time narrow that path down to where it's more profitable. But when we first started, we took every job coming and going because we didn't need the money, but we wanted to work. So
That's how we started. We both had full-time jobs.
yeah, he's old. We appreciate you coming, Solomon.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. He's on Florida time. He can't handle this country time.
I need to walk.
So-
He's ex-military combat vet, so we'll give him a little slack.
Good to meet all y'all, finally.
Nice meeting you.
Thanks,
Nice
Solomon.
meeting you.
Take
All
care.
right.
So,
So yeah,
No.
my mill was 5 years ago, and I haven't advertised but like 3 things on Facebook Marketplace. Put your mill in your front yard and start milling a log. Your neighbors will come by, then their neighbors will come by, and the next thing you know, I've been trying to get enough inventory for about 4 years now to start selling kiln dried lumber. And I always think I'm gonna start advertising as soon as I get this, and this built up. And it's been 4 years later, and I can't get the inventory built up.
just go ahead and start.
I'll tell y'all something that works as good at advertising for us as anything, and that's just posting kind of regular on social media. Just posting some pictures of the mill running, or posting some pictures of some stuff that you've cut. And before long, people say, "Hey, can you do this for me?" or "Can I buy that from you?" And I mean, that's not necessarily buying ads or putting stuff over on Marketplace, but just posting what you're doing and documenting the work that you're doing. I think that's a big advertisement as anything.
I'll tell anybody, YouTube is a great business tool to help you out when you're first starting. People may not want to interact with you one-on-one to start with, but if they can watch a YouTube video and see who you are, the work you do, they're a lot more susceptible to, hey, these people know what they're doing. They got some stuff going on. And I'm sure you guys will agree, your best customer is the one you pick up the phone and they say, "Hey, Joe told me to call you. You can take care of this."
Rick just got one of those phone calls the other day, didn't you, Rick? When we was at the
What's that?
Woodtown, the phone call you got the other day.
Yeah.
Gentleman down there in North Carolina. He's down there. Eric, he knows you guys, he said.
Uh-oh.
I'll be right back. I gotta go help Caitlin with the kids real quick.
He's gonna get.
Yeah, I love those phone calls when the first thing they tell me is somebody recommended us.
Yeah.
Word of mouth is your best advertisement. I don't even I've wanted to put a sign out on the road, Bearded Lumber. I almost don't think I will. Because if you don't know how to find me, you probably don't need to.
Now, Chuck, earlier on, you said that the old mill that your father or grandfather had was called a block mill.
Yes, sir. That's what they called it. And the only thing that I specifically remember about it was it sat a little bit higher, and they had it was more of a table instead of something that sat down closer to the ground with a carriage.
Yeah. Well, they've referred to circle mills as block mills because on the carriage they have head blocks to put the log against.
Okay.
So they called them block. That was a common term of a circular mill, was called a block mill because of the head blocks.
Did not know that. Did not know that. That's interesting. Who manufactured those mills primarily, or was that a common way of building?
That was just a common name for a circle mill.
Okay.
A lot of farms had bell saws. They may have had a bell saw. They were kind of dangerous, I heard. I never ran one, but the bell saws didn't have a lot of safety features on it, from what I understand. Except your fingers, when you went out, you got it out away from it.
Yeah. And I remember, it seems like they ran it with a Dodge motor. I don't know why I think that, but that just seems like what they ran it with.
Probably because they got it out of an old pickup truck somewhere as it was rotted out.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
So I really thought, doing this, I thought, man, Andy or Paul are going to be the perfect, running a farm with a hobby sawmill, exactly what Chuck's doing here, except not the organic, chickens, and I thought, man, Andy's going to have a lot to say, and you haven't said 2 words tonight, Andy.
No, we've done some stuff around here. Of course, we built the mill shed. We had already redone the cabin before we bought the mill, so that was already out of the picture. And then I did mill some supports for the corner posts at the orchard, but for the in-ground stuff, I wanted pressure treated, so those posts we didn't mill. And then recently I've had need for some stakes for bending branches down on the trees, but not too much down there. Otherwise, mostly projects around here. We have a couple buildings we'd still like to put up that we need to work on.
So isn't your orchard considered like farm or no?
I'm not in production or selling anything yet, but I'm getting closer to that. So we still have to figure that out if we're going to be going south. I'd like to be able to wholesale everything that I have so we can be ready to move out of here late fall, early winter.
Is that question for anybody? If chainsaw mill is about all I can afford right now, what would
chainsaw mills
to turn the best profits with? Maybe a slab.
Chainsaw mill is a lot of work. They're very slow. I think if I were starting out with the chainsaw mill, I would probably cut slabs for countertops and bar tops and save my money and then buy a band mill.
Yeah, I'm looking on Facebook Marketplace right now. I know what a chainsaw mill costs because I got one. I got I don't remember the brand, chainsaw mill and a $3,000 chainsaw at one on it. $2,000, here's a mill. $2,700, here's a mill. $6,000. You're not far from being able to afford a entry-level mill.
Correct.
Maybe instead of spending that big money on a chainsaw, you go buy you a 440 Husky for $400 and you save a little money buy you a $3,000-4,000 mill and get started milling.
Yep.
You'll have better success selling dimensional lumber than you ever will selling chainsaw slabs. I sell 50 slabs a year. I sell tens of thousands of boards every year.
Andy,
The
didn't you
chainsaw
guys
mill's
have
a
a
lot of-
chainsaw mill?
We do. I forget what the length on the bars are. We've got a couple actually, but I think they're all Granberg. But ungodly slow.
Man killers.
Yes.
Yeah.
It takes all of this and more than you got.
Yep. Yeah, we one thing we did mill was the header beam for the sawmill shed, and what were the final dimensions? 9x14? 9x14, and I think it's around 22 foot, and the actual opening was just under 20 foot. And Paul chainsaw milled that. That was a 33 foot pine that we cut that out of.
Well, that's what I'm gonna say. There is a little bit of a business market there for it. If you're in an area where nobody can saw longer than 20 feet, maybe you chainsaw mill 40-foot beams. You know, if you're man enough to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that again.
Yeah, in our area, nobody can mill anything beyond 20 feet. That's why we bought this 70. Part of it is we're going to turn it long ways out here in a new addition, and we'll be able to saw 32 feet to fill it in. You know, but yeah, you could take a chainsaw mill and cut 40-foot beams if you're tough enough.
Well, the thing of it is if all he has is a chainsaw mill, he's going to have to market products that he can make with the chainsaw mill. Dimensional lumber is not one of them.
Nope.
But
It's
save your money and buy a band mill.
Yep. Do the
Have your chainsaw mill, use it to make $3,000 or $4,000, and then go buy you
a mill.
and start making dimensional lumber.
Yep. Cut your long timbers, cut your slabs.
If you're
stuff
willing
like
to
that.
do it, there's a market out there for it. We get a lot of people in here that want that rustic look. They want real nasty wood. And I have to tell them, I'm like, we don't produce that. We produce a fine, finished, smooth grade of wood, but they want that old circle saw wobbly look. I'm like, if I got a board that looks like that, I throw it away.
I just grab one of Rick's old blades and do it. We make barred lumber all day long. I said, Rick, give me one of them 82 sharpening blades you got over there. Missing 3 teeth.
If he's got a chainsaw and a little Alaskan sawmill, take what you got and make money with it. Find a market in your area for the rustic lumber, rustic beams. You're not going to produce dimensionally accurate 2x4s or 1x10s. You just can't do it. But not everybody's looking for that. Sometimes people, especially these Airbnbs, they're looking for something a little more rustic, a little oddball. And it's hard for people like me to produce that because we're in the market of producing, more of a grade type of lumber versus oddball stuff.
I think that's probably where we're lucky because we're way up in the mountains like you guys, but we're in Adirondack Park where people like rustic stuff, so the slabs go really well for us.
Oh yeah.
We sell a lot of slabs.
How far are you from a big town?
60 miles.
20,000
Yeah.
people.
Probably
Was
about
that
60 miles, Eric.
Syracuse or Albany?
Yeah, you're way out
Albany, I think, would be the closest. We're 90 miles from Syracuse.
Yeah.
there. If you wanted to go to a big box store, hardware store, it's 60 miles.
No,
30.
we got a big box. We got like a Walmart stuff that's within 15 miles of us, but we live in a very small town, and where we actually live, we can run out of neighbors if crap hits the fan.
That's
Pretty quick.
Sound like a beautiful place to live.
It's quiet.
Yeah, we've had our redneck friends from down south come up here and say, "Holy cow!"
Yeah. I got one lives 10 minutes that way, grew up in the Adirondack. And the little rural community we live in, he said, man, it's like metropolitan where I grew up. He said, 15 minutes from a gas station, 30 minutes to anywhere you can get, something better than a type of Dollar General or general store. To go to a real grocery. They were out there.
Yeah, I went to Rick and Tim's, and the only thing is the road is like there isn't a straight 100-yard shot. You know what I mean? I can
Especially with that
look down
motorhome.
my road. I can look down my road and literally say, "Go that way for 27 miles. Don't ever turn. Don't ever stop. Just go straight that way
Still
east."
straight roads to the country there, John. They do
and
if you're in the mountains, they do this.
yeah, I know. And you can't
Exactly.
you can't go 100 yards. 100 yards, they don't have a straight road for 100 yards.
I hadn't been to Chuck's house, but I know where he lives, and I guarantee you, we're gonna do this and this, this to get down to where he's at.
No, I can't deal with that.
Flatlander.
I'll be a flatlander. I'll be a flatlander.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that I was in awe about. Tim used to live in Ohio, and I had a friend that lived in Indiana. I had a cousin that lived in Illinois, and those three states, all the roads run north and south, east and west, like a checkerboard.
It's a grid. I said if I ever bought a big amount of property in one of those states, the first thing I'd do is put a curvy diagonal road through my property.
That's how we pick them out around here. I can tell if you're local or not. We're going down a long straightaway, which for us would be a quarter mile.
Yeah.
And then it's a curve. The locals will go down there and they just go around the curve. The ones that just moved in here, they slam the brakes on and go around the curve. Tell me I'm wrong, Chuck.
No, you are exactly right. And if you've got fruit on your tag, Georgia or Florida, stay away from them.
Well, what we enjoy is when they built the roads, they don't bank the curves the proper way because they want the water to run off the road.
Yeah.
So it banks the wrong way. And if you get a little bit of ice on the road, and people that aren't used to living up here, they go off in the woods almost every single day. You find people off in the woods.
Yep.
They say us Southerners can't drive, but most of us got enough sense when it snows to stay home.
Stay home, yeah.
Snow, it's got to be at least 3 foot.
Yeah, we don't stay home unless it's over 3 foot.
Oh, Lord.
If we're pushing snow with the bumper, then maybe we'll stay home. And that's with a 6-inch lift in the truck.
Yeah.
Y'all have all that mess.
Oh, it's a beautiful
Well,
time of the
what?
Eric. You ought to come
You
visit.
guys-
We also enjoy 60-degree days in the summertime.
Yeah, we don't get none of them. Now,
Yeah.
quick question for you, Chuck. How is farming different, hot weather versus winter weather? Now, I know our extremes is not as bad as those guys up north, but you still from 90, 10, 15 degrees.
Yeah, they both got their challenges. In the summertime like this, we want to make sure that the animals have got, some shade and plenty of water and can get in and out of the heat. Everything actually tolerates the heat pretty well. It's not too bad. And in the wintertime, you got to make sure everything's not frozen up. So, there's challenges to both. There's really only about 10 good days worth of farming in the year. So, the rest of it is too hot, too cold, or there's challenges somehow.
Do you notice a difference in packing weight on your animals in hot weather versus cold weather?
Yeah, it's about the same. In hot weather, they don't want to graze as long especially the cattle, they don't want to graze quite as long during the day. And in the wintertime, they're burning a lot of calories to keep weight on. So we put the best weight on in the spring and in the fall. Typically in the spring when we've got a lot of really good new grass coming up.
Do you try to manage your herd by buying at a certain month, knowing that you can finish in that sweet spot, or just luck of the draw?
No, we buy whenever it's available and whenever we've got, a good buy to be had. which right now in cattle, there's not a lot of good buys to be had. It's buying stuff when it's available.
If somebody just wrote you a check and said, hey, Chuck, buy the next best thing to make your farm jump off the map. What do you think it would be? Land, equipment? You could just write a check.
That's
A hired
great
hand?
question.
An editor?
I've had the worst luck trying to hire help. It would probably buy some more cattle.
Just beef up the herd.
Yep. Improve it. Yeah, buy more animals.
And that cattle's not cheap right now.
No, they're not. It's just the market is just crazy expensive right now.
Is property
So, Chuck, you just
something that you could acquire sometime later, or is it like around here? It's gotten to where if you don't own it now, you're never going to own it.
Yeah, I mean it could be bought, but the thing about that is, from a personal bandwidth perspective, I'm at capacity. I don't need any more ground to take care of. I don't need or want any more ground to take care of.
Unless it was already flat farmable. And
Yeah.
we don't do that around here.
Yeah, no, we don't either.
So what animals do you have, Chuck? Is it just pigs, cattle, and chickens?
Yep, pigs, beef cattle, pigs. I keep meat chickens. I keep egg chickens. I've got a couple of, guineas and a couple of geese that are just sort of out there. And we will order turkeys towards the end of the month. We'll get about 10 or 15 turkeys. We'll finish those out for Thanksgiving. That'll just be for friends and family.
Okay.
We've tried some other stuff. We tried rabbit. I couldn't find a good market for rabbit. I have another farmer neighbor that supplies me with some quail. That doesn't go very well. So when people come to me and say, hey, I'm interested in getting into farming, what do you recommend? I tell them the big three: beef, pork, and chicken. Everybody knows what to do with it. And people say, oh, well, what about goats, or what about sheep? If you want that and you want to raise them, that's fine. But they're not, in my experience, they're not very profitable. And I'm here to make money. I'm not here just to, have cute animals on the farm and enjoy it. I mean, our goal here is to turn a profit. And to do that, it's got to be the big three: beef, pork, and chicken.
And we've got some around here that call these llamas.
Yeah. Yeah.
That seems like a lot of effort.
Yeah.
Hey, John, just want to shout out to Timber Cutter Patriot. He has his own podcast and stuff.
Oh yeah?
Welcome
In Indiana?
Yeah, welcome to our show. Yeah, he's got a
Southern
big YouTube
Indiana?
channel too.
Oh
I'm
yeah?
not sure.
I'll have to look it up. No,
We have
it's
a
got to
couple
be
of
Southern Indiana. if he's
successful
logging.
elk farms here, Chuck.
Oh, yeah.
How
Yeah,
has-
elk meat sells pretty good, I guess, and they use everything. The horns, I mean, everything the elk has, they process for one thing or another.
Yeah.
You've been in this for quite a few years. How has the increase in farm commodities, you don't use fertilizer, pesticides, but you do buy feed. Has that really impacted your bottom line?
So yeah, over the years, we've seen an increase in feed prices, and we adjust our prices accordingly. I heard a guy say one time, you're better off to do nothing for nothing than you are to work yourself to death for nothing. And so whenever we have a cost of goods increase, it costs us more to produce it, we have to pass that on to the customer. We can absorb a little bit of it, but I don't absorb much of it. I'm just not in business to go broke.
No, you can't.
Yeah, that's the advantage of being the small. Well, it's just like the lumber, but that's the advantage of being the small lumber or the small farmer.
Mhm.
You don't have to rely on the cattle. It doesn't matter what the cattle market is.
Right.
Other than you have to buy it. That's what you have to buy it at. But you don't have to sell your cows to somebody who's buying it. You have to sell them to Walmart or the auction block or any of that. The same with chickens.
Yeah, when you're controlling that final product, whether it's 2x4s, 1x10s, or ground beef, you can control the price. And if you're selling that direct to consumer, you've got a lot more flexibility than if you're trying to sell a truckload of cows or a whole load of lumber to a big box store. You can control that.
Yep.
know a year or so back you did a video on your local abattoir, and you're very fortunate to have such a professional outfit.
Yeah.
Quite close to you.
Yeah.
Do your final product like they do. And they're
Yeah.
big producer.
Yeah, so the processor we use, I actually drive past about 3 other processors to go to the guys that I use, because they do such a good job, and we've been with them. And, you know, I've compared prices to all the different processors around us, and the structures are all different. But when you get down to that bottom line, man, they ain't but 1 or 2 cents difference in it.
Damn it. Trying to copy it. I was trying to copy it, but you can't copy it off here.
I don't remember what his name is, John, but we've seen him at Woodsman's Days. I think he was at the show there in Ohio, Bunyan. I think he goes
Oh,
to
yeah?
quite a few of the shows. Yeah.
So Chuck,
Alrighty.
you're still seeing a decent profit ratio on pork. I know Pete Larson on his channel, he gave the pork up quite a while ago. I wonder if the market between New York versus where you are is different. I'm guessing that pork might not be as popular here in our northern culture as you guys. I'm not sure what would cause that.
Yeah, we sell a lot of pork. And really pork was what put us on the map. That was what we started with, just because of, so I'm on a different farm now than I started. And my original farm was it was much better built for raising pigs.
Right.
And so that was what we got started with. And that was what we sort of became known for. We built up a really strong customer base over the years. And yeah, we're in the South. Everybody eats Midland, and everybody eats pork chops and bacon and sausage and that sort of thing. So we've got a pretty strong market for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you sell your
I would just like,
price there regardless of what the grocery store's at. You can't worry about their price.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You sell your product for what you got in it and your profit margin. You don't worry about the grocery store price.
No, yeah, I don't try to compete with Food Line or Kroger or Publix or anybody like that.
It's
Right.
like, I don't compete with those. Now,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I may check their prices every now and then, but I don't price against it.
Sure, yeah. I mean, and we have customers come up to us and they'll say, you know, how much is a pack of ground beef? And I'll tell them, and they'll say, well, I can go to Walmart and get it for, you know, $6. And I'm like, yeah, you can.
It's bland.
I can tell you where this cow was born and where it was processed. What can you tell me about that pack of meat you got at Walmart?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
And my wife is even snarkier than that. People will say, well, boy, that's expensive. And she'll look at him and say, it sure is. And that's it. She shuts up. It sure is. And then that's it.
Yep.
I mean, you take and same for you guys. Somebody says, well, that lumber's expensive. Yeah, it is.
It is.
I mean, and when you do that, you take the argument away. There's no, I mean, it's expensive. You know?
I'm producing a special product, sometimes with my wood, sometimes with your wood. And it will have a meaning to you that stuff bought at Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards that you don't know where it come from in the world will have no meaning. Same thing with your food. The food that I'm getting from you, I can come up there and look at it before you process it and turn it into a product that I'm going to eat. And I can't do that in the local, butcher.
No, not at all. Not at all.
You pay for that. You pay a premium for that. We're all, I don't know if any of us are real skinny. Food's doing us no good eating all this processed mess.
West Virginia, a serious drought here. Oh, tick population exploded. How you guys doing in New York?
We've had ticks are really blown up this year up here too.
Yeah.
And
well,
I'd say we're in a drought, like Rick, you think?
No, I don't think we're in a drought. We got a little dry, but we had good rain today. The tick situation, our particular county we live in, we don't ever have ticks. But this year, I could say I probably got 8 or 9 on me. So yeah, the ticks are picking up here, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't think we're in a drought. We've gotten rain. We haven't had a lot of rain, but that's normal for this time of year.
Yeah.
Not like it was last year anyway. And that
We've
I
had
just
some
want to
time.
mention that timber cutter patriot there that made the remark earlier. Much respect. I like his attitude. I watch his channel. He's got a great attitude.
Oh yeah, I know who that is now.
Yeah, he
Yep.
don't wear PPEs. That's funny. He said God is his PPE. I love it.
Oh, yes.
Okay, now you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. So how's the
But-
ticks been, John? Andy, how's the ticks been in your areas?
Terrible in our area. And we even ended up spending $300 to $400 on the dog. She had a tick-borne disease,
Ay, ay, ay.
bacteria.
I put out those, I don't know who sell those orange chainsaw cases. And they hold your chains in them. Anyway, I got a couple of those. I set it down right in a bunch of ticks. Didn't know it. Grabbed it with my glove. And by the time I was filming that, I took my glove off to film it. There must have been 50 ticks on that little orange chainsaw case.
I saw
Holy
that. I
cow.
saw
And
that.
yeah, that video was crazy. And they were
Yeah, I saw that.
they were the head of a pinprick. They were so small. And I came home with, just from taking my glove, I handled it with my glove, and then they crawled inside my glove, and I didn't know it. I had 13 bites on my hand.
Oh,
You know,
man.
13 tick bites on my hand when I put my glove back on and just went back to work. I didn't know that they were in there. And it's been really extremely bad this year. It's
I've seen one so
five or six tick bites.
Do y'all have,
Eric?
yep, I've seen one this year. My wife picked one up off the dog the other day. Other than that, I hadn't seen any, but Matthew and I don't wander off the woods. We were right here in Sawmill hustling most of the time. Do you guys up north ever have chiggers? You know what chiggers are?
Oh, yeah, we know what
they
chiggers are.
No, we don't have them.
No, we don't have those.
Oh,
But we do have black flies. I'll trade you.
Lady customer come out yesterday, and she'd got a mess of them on her belly.
Ay,
Hey,
ay, ay.
horrid.
I told her, I said, I know, I can see your fingernails. I know you polish your fingernails. Take that fingernail polish remover and dab
Yeah,
it and kill them.
Yeah, but if you got hair on your body, it hurts worse to pull it off than to pull the trigger out.
I've dealt with chiggers when we lived down south. There's nothing nice about chiggers at all.
No.
Weeks of itching.
Just amazes me how they get down in the hair follicle. That's crazy.
It's nasty. They're nasty little things, boy.
Now, I guess that brings up a good question for farming. When you're trying to stay as, or I don't know a better term other than organic, but trying to stay away from all the hormones and stuff, and animals get sick, sometimes you have to call a vet. Do you have to set that animal aside till that antibiotic or whatever goes through their system?
So I will use an antibiotic if an animal's sick. I won't neglect treatment to an animal. And a lot of those have what's called a clearance time.
Right.
And they'll say, well, you shouldn't process this animal within 30 days of administration of this antibiotic or something along those lines. And we'll pay attention to that. But if I have an animal that's sick, I'm gonna treat it. I'm not gonna let it
Take care of
suffer.
their health.
Yeah.
That's just, and modern medicine, you know what the cost of losing an animal is. It can impact a lot.
Yeah. And we make that clear to our customers, that yes, while we are prophylactically antibiotic free, if we have a sick animal, we treat them.
Right. Well, you don't treat yourself. Why would you keep the animal you care for?
Yep.
Another good reason not to go to Central Mississippi.
I'm glad you guys have them down there. Keep them down there.
We'll ship you a box of them here soon.
No, that's all right.
Around here
We'll ship
in the summertime,
We'll ship
if
some
you're
black flies down.
a field of wildflowers, or somebody's got a hay field overgrown, you're asking for best chickens.
Yeah, boy.
Best thing to do is stay out of it. I noticed on your videos, Chuck, you're fighting some weeds in your pasture, and without using any kind of herbicide. What's your best technique for kind of curtailing them? And I know the cows won't eat them, but if you get them down, they will kind of stomp them out for you at some point, won't they?
Yeah, we'll use mechanical methods. We'll mow. Yeah, I've got a bad pigweed problem right now, so we try to keep that knocked down. And if you keep it knocked down and let some of your grasses and stuff get ahead of it, sometimes that'll choke it out. That'll slow it down from growing. So we just use mechanical methods, and then rotationally grazing helps a bunch. Because the cows will, they will encourage growth of those species that they want to eat by mowing it off. So yeah, but I don't.
You ever back drag your pasture after the cows move on to kind of
No.
the patties and stuff?
No, never have, and the reason is for a lot of the microfungi and the good bugs and the dung beetles and that kind of thing to actually work that manure and get it down into the ground. It has to it has to be moist. And whenever you break those patties up and you rake them out, they get dry, and it's not nearly as effective. So no, I don't back drag.
Do you control that by just moving when you're having to feed them hay? Just move the hay feeding spot?
Yeah, we feed hay in the wintertime and we unroll it, or we'll bale graze. We'll just put our hay at different strategic locations. So if I've got an area that I don't have any grass growth in, or I don't have good growth, I'll put hay out on it. Cows will come in, they'll eat it, they'll poop on it, they'll pee on it, they'll stomp it into the ground. So we're getting some good carbon down in the ground, and that really helps our grass growth.
Do you let the cows come up and graze where the chickens have been recently? Because I know that's good grass.
Yeah, we let them graze behind the chickens.
That's some high nitrogen grass.
Yeah, boy, that's some hot stuff, man. That's some hot stuff.
I know you can't move
Chuck,
chickens far away from the house, or you're into foxes and stuff like that. So you got to keep them up pretty close, don't you?
Yeah, we do. We use a lot of electric netting and electric fencing around our chickens. That helps.
Yeah.
Any, you do any veal or just beef?
Just beef. Yeah, just beef.
What's your favorite breed of cow? Because there's lots of breeds out there. I don't know them all, but you got Angus, you got Herefords, and all these other ones. Which ones seem to pack on the weight good and make a good final product? Because you're really interested in weight and that final quality.
I like anything with a red hide on it, and the reason being, and I've stood here on the porch, I've stood out in the field, and I've watched it. On these 95-degree days, those black cows will be up and under a shade structure under the tree somewhere, and on the red cow, you usually can get another hour or two's worth of grazing out of them. Less flies.
Yep.
And they just around here they just seem to do well. So I like a Hereford, I like a Red Angus. Those are my two favorites.
Do you have a non-invasive product you can use for fly control?
Yeah, so we make our own fly spray around here. I use apple cider vinegar, neem oil, and then 3 or 4 different essential oils. We keep it in a pump sprayer. We'll ride along beside the cows and just spray them down with all that stuff. And another thing that we do, so flies are bad to transmit pink eye.
Yep.
So we keep a lot of kelp, seaweed available for the cows, and that really helps with the pink eye.
Really? Huh. Never knew.
Makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Well, we've had people asking, us about starting in the sawmill business. How do you start in the farming business? I mean, you can't run before you learn to walk. But there's still a substantial investment just to grow and sell your first cow, chickens. Maybe start small with chickens.
Yeah, so that's what I recommend folks do is start with poultry. Everybody and everything eats chicken. Even a dadgum chicken will eat a chicken.
Oh yeah, my brother.
So that's what I recommend folks start with is start out with some poultry, and grow you a batch of chickens. And one thing I tell folks, and I think this is probably true in any business, whether you're sawmilling or selling cars or doing lawn care or anything like that, start advertising before you start work. Start your marketing campaign early. Let folks know that, hey, we're going to be growing some chickens. We're going to raise them out on pasture, no hormones, no antibiotics. They're going to get lots of fresh air and sunshine and spring water, and these are going to be the best chickens you've ever had. And start talking that up to your neighbors, the folks at work, the folks that you go to church with, the parents of your kids that play softball or baseball, in the rec league or whatever, and get you a tribe built up and get you some folks interested in what you're doing before you ever start.
And you're not growing them little game birds. I've seen some that you processed were 10-pound chickens.
I've had some 8-pound broilers.
Yeah.
I've had some 8-pound broilers. Yeah.
That's a big chicken.
That's a big chicken. Yeah. It's a Thanksgiving chicken's what that is. It sure is. Yeah.
Any problem with predators, Chuck?
Look,
Yeah.
I can eat that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. We've had problems with predators. I've had coyotes get into, there was one year I had a group of coyotes get into some turkeys that I had that were about 3 weeks from processing. Turkeys take about 16 weeks and they're expensive to buy and feed. So, we've had coyote problems. We've had foxes. We've had weasels. We've had raccoons. I mean, like I say, man, everything eats chicken.
Now, do your dogs help out with the predators a little bit? Or are they too much staying in?
No, they're lazy. They don't. Yeah, they're not very. We feed them and provide housing for them. That's about all they're good for.
They no good at farm labor, huh?
No, not at all. No, not at all.
There's a question up there for you, Chuck.
Yeah, have I ever met or had conversation with Joel Southton? Yes, I have. I've met Joel on a couple of occasions. He's a really nice guy, very knowledgeable. Joel is really the reason why we got into farming, quite frankly. We saw the documentary about 15 years ago, Food Inc., and that was one of the things that Joel kind of got his name out there with. And I've met Joel and talked with him, and he's a wealth of knowledge. He's a good guy. I really appreciate his work.
Now, would you say that most of the farming rules are kind of consistent across the country? I know they're different, but if you want to produce a product and sell it legally.
Yeah, red meat is varied. Beef and pork, lamb, goat, elk, buffalo, bison. On red meats, the rules are pretty consistent across the country. Poultry is very different. Each state really kind of controls its poultry rules. And so poultry, chicken and turkey, quail, duck, geese, emu, poultry is a lot. Poultry varies from state to state.
Now, is your poultry USDA or is that just strictly for red meat?
No, that's strictly for red meat in North Carolina. There are no USDA inspected poultry processors in North Carolina, but we process on farm. We have an exemption through the North Carolina Department of Agriculture. We are inspected and checked and have to have our water tested twice a year and all that kind of stuff. But we have a 20,000 bird exemption. I can process up to 20,000 chickens on my property every year.
And per that, you have to expect to have the random that guy shows up at your gate. Hey, I want to see what you're doing today.
Yeah, we've had that happen. We had a complaint a couple of years ago. Somebody called us in for something. I have no idea what. But my wife and I were at a farmer's market, and our local ag guy, the inspector, calls us up and says, "Hey, I'm at your farm. We've had a complaint. Are you here?" And we're like, "No, we're not here, but go on in, look around. We have nothing to hide." But yeah, we're subject to random inspections.
Well, that's to be expected. You're producing a food staple, but that's just part of the game you're in.
Yeah, and whenever you put your entire life and your entire business out there on YouTube, you're susceptible to getting some weirdo making a complaint. I mean, that complaint could have come from somebody in Austin, Texas, for God knows, for all we know, or it could have been somebody down the road. It could have been a competitor. There's no way of knowing,
Right.
Well, we had a couple when we started this video talking about cutting trees. If you're loving trees, why are you watching the Sawmill channel?
Exactly.
If you're a vegetarian, why are you watching the Sawmill channel that's talking to a guy that farms cows, chickens, and pigs?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't like watching women's clothes, so I'm not watching the YouTube channel talking about women's clothes.
Yeah, you're looking to be triggered.
Yeah, you're looking to be triggered. Go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know. What do you think, John? You got any more questions?
No, I had to, but talking about that, complaints and stuff, I actually had to call one in the other day.
What road?
Yeah, I know. I tried everything not to be a Karen, but I was like, look, I'm just gonna have to be a Karen if you guys aren't gonna, help me out here. But the neighbor sprayed and on a windy day and just killed all, just devastated my fruit trees
Oh man.
and
You can't do that.
and oh yeah, they can.
You got that done with neighbors, apparently?
No, the neighbor's fine. The neighbor's good. The company he hired to do it is just they're not. They just don't care, And
It's laws for people that just don't care.
yeah, but you just can't make them. There's no making them care.
Were they drone spraying?
Nope, they were land spraying
Okay.
on a windy day, 95 degrees, 18-mile-an-hour wind, doing about 25 miles an hour through the field.
Man.
Just and there's just nothing you can do. Even a civil lawsuit isn't gonna slow these guys down. A company spraying, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of acres they're spraying. You know what I mean? And I'm sure they employ lawyers to fight this stuff all the time.
Well, you do have a YouTube platform to make your voice heard.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about another one too. But it gets rough, especially when you're trying to raise your cows on a pasture that's not being sprayed by those chemicals.
Yeah.
You're intentionally raising your cattle and on the pasture and your chickens on a pasture that's not sprayed by those chemicals.
Exactly.
And it gets rough.
Yeah.
I mean, they get your vegetable garden and your apple orchard, and it gets rough.
A few hundred miles out in the country, I can tell you how to cure that problem.
Yeah.
You're a little too close to city life there.
No, I'm not close to city life. I'm a couple hours from Chicago.
Well,
my closest neighbor is a half mile.
You have any idea what they're spraying?
Not
2,4-D?
not officially yet, but the guy who came out and inspected said, yeah, it was 2,4-D or there was another one.
Oh yeah, 2,4-D will do a lot of damage.
Yep.
It's going to take your trees a long time to recover.
Oh yeah. If I want to kill trees, I use the Roundup and 2,4-D, and you'll kill anything growing.
Yep, it's rough.
2,4-D is a good broadleaf killer. That's some rough stuff.
Yeah, they got my walnut. They got my walnut grove up on the hill, walnut and cherry grove. My apple trees, my pawpaw trees. Pawpaw actually did probably the best, but pear tree, garden, all the wife's ornamental trees.
This is a small business
corn.
or a big business?
They're big business.
Big business hates media. They hate loudmouth YouTubers.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll find out probably.
We've seen over and over in America that if you want to change the political arena, you get enough people fed up with it to start voicing things, and things happen. The only way to shut you up is fix the problem.
Yep, I had to make the call.
One of the big things out there right now is flock cameras. And I'm sick and tired of them, and I'm waiting for the rest of America to wake up and realize that we don't need a surveillance state in the United States of America.
Did I? Yep.
So,
oops.
Very little the next live stream. Oh, okay. But anything you want to add to?
Hopefully, we don't have next month scheduled yet. We're looking at the dovetailed cabin jigs, though.
I was going to ask if anybody had tried those. I'm interested in buying one of those. So y'all going to review that next month?
We're hoping to have him on here next month.
Oh, nice.
That's on the schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that one too. I'm gonna build one of those cabins, just like, except it's not gonna be a timber frame, but for the purpose of what you're doing it,
Yeah.
for, is to sell the chicken and sell the egg and sell the beef out of.
I've considered building, getting that jig and building one of those down here next to my garden and having it as like a little garden shed with like a porch so we can sit out there and break beans and all that kind of stuff, just a little storage thing. That just seems like that'd be a quick, easy way to get you a building up, without a lot of fuss.
Yep. That's who we're hoping next month.
Yeah.
Third Saturday of the month.
Yep.
7 p.m. Central. 8 p.m. for all you East Coasters. And Craig be back next month or not? We don't know. We
No
don't know
idea.
yet, huh? He'd be the guy to talk about if there was somebody was talking about the fire. They were getting free logs from a fire. Burnt logs. That'd be Craig you need to talk to. Kilton Sawyer.
He sent me a picture the other day. He had a tractor trailer load of long length logs dropped off. I'm like, man, that's some good looking stuff. 50 footers, big trees. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'd saw that.
Canada was on fire last week.
Yep, that was burning my eyes.
Yeah, we had a couple of days
Us
of
too.
heavy smoke.
What was it, Central Canada or more easterly?
Have no idea.
I know Western Canada's called a good bit of rain lately.
It's
Alberta that way.
Wisconsin, straight above Wisconsin. Wisconsin was actually on fire a little bit. Got a little bit of it.
Central Canadian, yeah.
Yeah, and that Gulf Stream brought it right straight down to us, and it was bad. It was burning your eyes.
Wow.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was bad here.
That's why we manage forest people. For all you people out there that are tree huggers, every one of us are tree huggers. I love hugging a tree right before I put it into some beautiful lumber. If you don't manage our forest, this is what you get. Chuck's already said he's got 120 acres up there. If he don't manage that forest, one little forest fire can devastate him.
Yeah, boy.
All that leaf litter and limb litter on the ground, if you've got that cleaned up and a fire rolls through, it just burns that mess off and don't hurt a thing. But when you got tens of thousands of trees everywhere, you burn down the neighborhood.
Well, it's like up here in New York, the Adirondack Park, forever wild. They will
Yeah.
not log it.
I don't understand why people can't understand that. Clean up the forest floor and limit, these massive wildfires, or have fire breaks in between these massive tracts of timber to stop that.
Well, knock on wood, we haven't had a big forest fire here in 30 years. I don't know why, but we haven't.
I know you guys spent a lot of effort cutting down your dead timber on your property.
Absolutely.
One day that'll pay, unfortunately, one day that may pay dividends.
It may.
Yeah, it's that logging, the small guy logging the timber goes right along with the small guy raising his own beef.
Yeah.
When the beef industry is in trouble, when the chicken industry is in trouble, how many millions of birds did they kill in the chicken industry? You know what I mean? That doesn't affect the small guy right there raising, healthy birds right there on his property.
Right.
And
He
the
was selling
timber
chicken-
industry,
he was
timber
selling
industry
chicken
burns
eggs
down.
out paying $6 a dozen at Ingles.
Well, a good example was the egg business. What?
Yeah.
Yep.
First part of the year. Small people, the small guy didn't worry about it. We had chickens.
The same when 2x4s were, $10 a piece. The guy with the sawmill, the small guy with the sawmill wasn't worried about timber, 2x4s being $10 a piece.
No, we like them
He
when they're
had
that
his on a small
expensive.
farm. Yeah. Yeah.
And they're
Especially
not
if you're selling.
they're not even true 2x4s.
Yep. It's,
About that time, isn't it, John?
it is about that time.
Yep.
I am ready
Pleasure,
Wherever you
brother.
all are.
In to join us.
I really
You got it.
appreciate the invite. Enjoyed hanging out with you guys. Love the conversation. Thank y'all so much for having us. We really do appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
thank
you,
you for
Chuck.
coming on, Chuck.
I appreciate you guys putting out the videos that you do. You know what I mean, on showing the small farm like that. You know, it's that's really nice.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with doing the YouTube video. That's been good for the business. We've met. I mean, I wouldn't have met you guys. I wouldn't know Eric if it wasn't for that. So it's been a good community builder for us for sure.
Well, you know, so I appreciate the, you know, we lost a cow video. I appreciate we didn't catch the queen bee video. You know what I mean? I appreciate the mistakes. I appreciate the mistake videos also, because that it just makes it real on YouTube, and it's not, I don't want you to be a big business YouTube channel. You know what I mean? I want the real life, you know, farm on there.
Man, I'll tell you, if it wasn't for mistakes, sometimes I wouldn't have any content to shoot.
Yep.
I get beat up in the comments for it, but that's all right.
Tell Miss Sunday
Yeah.
tonight she could have joined in and kept you straight.
And she's in here, got her feet up. I don't know what she's doing.
I got to beat up. All right. Thanks, sir. Thanks for joining us. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next third Saturday of next month.
Yep.
Thank y'all. God bless
Alrighty.
y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
We want to thank everybody for stopping by the show tonight. And remember, it's the third Saturday of every month that we all gather and are on the show. See you later, guys.